I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces. That's why we're still there. We were clear-eyed about the risks. We planned for every contingency, but I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight. If anything, the developments of the past week reinforced that ending U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan now was the right decision.
Okay, so look, let's admit that there is a little bit of contradiction in that we planned for every possible outcome and we were shocked by how fast this developed. You kind of got to pick one of those two lanes, I feel like. But that said, he did not do what I was a little bit worried yesterday he might do, which is, so we're sending our like 5,000 soldiers there, and next week it'll be 10, and then possibly 20, and then we're definitely staying in. There's still time for that sort of outcome to happen, but Jordan there, he apparently he's not super apologetic about how chaotic things became over the past couple of days, which I feel like there could have been a bit more of that, but he apparently is staying the course that admittedly he did say he would be doing throughout this year. What did you make of what Biden said?
Biden's speech yesterday, I thought was, hit a couple points. One, it's, hey, look, we inherited this mess, and they really are trying to drive this line home that they're not going to extend it into a third decade and give it to a fifth president. So that's the narrative they want. They want to be the administration that ripped off the Band-Aid when no one else would, right? Never mind that he was, tangential to power for 8 years, and they ran on leaving pretty firmly in 2012 and ending in 2008 before following that with a surge. But this is what they want his administration to be defined as, and this idea that they plan for every outcome and they're caught by surprise kind of flies in the face of just basic facts and intelligence reports. So SIGAR, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, has been warning about this outcome for months, saying the Afghanistan military is not prepared. They're going to collapse. This is going to be a disaster. How we're doing this. So to act like they planned for all of these outcomes and they're caught by surprise, it just is ludicrous. What we need to do is accept these refugees here. We need to expedite paperwork. We need to give the green light to people who helped us there, people who are in danger there. There are unconfirmed reports that I'm hearing from friends and allies that the Taliban is marking homes of ethnic and religious minorities. And as we've seen the transition of power in other countries around the world throughout history, often what happens is ethnic cleansing. That is horrible. So we need to make sure we protect people who are vulnerable, who need to get out, accept refugees here. It is the least we can do after invading their country and disrupting and ultimately imploding the government.
100%, and we're going to be talking a lot today and probably for quite a while about refugees. Sorry, Fox News, I know that you're predicting that all us lefties are going to be so focused on refugees. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's obviously what we should do. I feel like, look, you're totally right. There were people who apparently thought for some reason that it wouldn't turn out this way. But as you point out, it is not, you cannot say that nobody predicted it, nobody in a position of power. So what would seem to be a slightly more reasonable argument would be, we said we're gonna get out, we're gonna do it. Like, yes, over the past few months, there's been some worrying signs, but I also know that those sorts of worrying signs have been used by multiple administrations across both parties to stay in forever. We weren't gonna continue that, so yes, there's chaos. We always knew there would be chaos. More chaos is coming, but we're getting out. Still doesn't really explain why you were so unprepared to get people literally out of Kabul in like the last day or two. And so I understand why they're not going with that, but that would at least be consistent with the I stand squarely behind argument that he's trying to make. Now that said, we do have more of President Biden. So here is a little bit more of what he had to say yesterday.
Mistake of staying and fighting indefinitely in a conflict that is not in the national interest of the United States, of doubling down on a civil war in a foreign country.
Okay. And again, Jordan, you're so right when he's like, the idea that they inherited this, but it's like you inherited it from your grandfather and you were kind of your grandfather's brother. Like you were there, like you were involved. I understand that it wasn't Biden's choice necessarily, but there's a lot of blame to go around. And we can debate again, as we did yesterday on the show, how much of the blame should go to different individuals, different groups, those sorts of things, the media, all of that. Biden definitely deserves some, definitely. And so I briefly wonder, I don't want to focus on this too much, Jordan, but from what you've seen of the response, I know that the right obviously wants to, it's kind of like a weird having your cake and eating it too. Many of them say that they support Trump. They wanted to get out too. And I think we both agree that if everything was the same, but Trump was president instead of Biden and the same thing had happened, they wouldn't be shedding a single tear for any of this, but they definitely want to use it to attack Biden. So that seems like a weird, narrow lane to try to occupy where you don't disagree with the outcome at all, aside from the possibility of refugees, but you need it to be a club to attack the administration, who is very much continuing the policy that Trump laid out. I don't know, what do you think about all that?
Well, a couple things. One, I do want to, point out that in his statement, talking about ending endless wars is just, it's farcical. That's not happening. We aren't really making any gains toward that. They're ultimately removing just a few thousand troops, but they're still, as they have been committed to and have been bragging about around the world for the past several months, is their ability to strike anywhere. So they're going to continue a less visible aerial form of combat in the region. So they're definitely going to continue operations in the Middle East. It's just they're not going to have the human cost associated with it, because there's that's harder to sell home when you have people coming home in body bags. On the Republican response to this, though, I thought that was just unbelievably funny, because you have people who often never met a war they didn't like, and just bemoaning this scene at the airport where people are clinging to planes and saying this is Biden's Saigon moment, which sure, if you want to draw parallels, there certainly aesthetically there are, but the next logical step after that is, okay, well, how do we take care of those people? And that is welcoming them here. Oh, no. Suddenly they don't want to help anymore. They want that that play. They want that line of attack against Biden, but ultimately that's all it is. It's simply rhetoric. Yeah. There's no substantive critique behind it. There's no alternative substantive response to this, which would be accepting refugees. It's just that they want to hit him for political points, and that's it. To them, this is a sport. They are sanitizing the horror. They're sanitizing the fallout there because they just want a line of attack against Biden.
Yeah, basically, you're right. It's obviously a provocative, powerful image, horrific. You're watching people fall to their deaths, and so they will imply that they have some sort of foundational issue with it. But really, all they wanted was a fence 20 feet away from to keep them away. That's all. We just didn't want them near the plane. They don't want them on the plane, certainly. Many of them, at the very least.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.